Hello and welcome to Virtuosity. I'm Corey, co-founder of Virtuosity, and I'll be leading you through this introduction to drive. You're standing on a track. Ahead of you, a row of hoops stretches into the distance. Big ones, small ones, each one a little higher than the last. The signal sounds, and you're off. Grades, trophies, promotions. You don't ask why, you just jump, land, next. At first, it feels good. You're rewarded, applauded. You learn that success means clearing the next hoop. Faster, cleaner, better than the rest. So you train for it. You shape your life around it. Until one day, you look up and realize you've been running hard toward a destination you never chose. That's why drive isn't just about going fast. It's about choosing the hoop, defining success for yourself, and then pursuing it with energy and excellence. That act of defining success is a superpower, and you don't need total freedom to do it. Just look at the true story behind Moneyball. In the early 2000s, the Oakland A's had their backs against the wall. With one of the lowest payrolls in Major League Baseball, they couldn't afford the star players everyone else was chasing. And in a system where success was measured by wins and losses and bought through money, they weren't supposed to stand a chance. But instead of chasing the same hoops as everyone else, they redefined what winning looked like. They focused on a different set of metrics, unconventional stats like on-base percentage, that revealed a new way to build a team. They didn't reject the ultimate goal of winning. They just found a customized definition of success that aligned with their reality. And it worked. They won 20 games in a row, breaking an American League record, and proved that you can redefine success within the system, not outside of it. You can set your own terms for what excellence looks like and deliver. What do we really mean by drive? It's not just about working hard or getting things done. Drive is about setting the best goals, bringing urgency, initiative, and energy to the goals that matter most. It's caring deeply about the outcomes and showing up to deliver. People with strong drive don't wait for permission or perfect conditions. They act. They move things forward when others stall. And they're not just checking boxes. They're pushing for better. They set high standards, and they're not afraid to stretch toward them. They also bring a sense of momentum. Their presence adds fuel to a project, a team, a conversation. They lift the space, sharpen the focus, and raise the standard for what good looks like. According to the leader character framework, drive is made up of 5 core behaviors: demonstrating initiative, stepping forward without being asked, being results-oriented, setting the right goals and achieving them, being passionate, caring deeply about the work and why it matters, striving for excellence, aiming beyond good enough to deliver at a high standard, being vigorous, approaching challenges with urgency and energy. Imagine drive as your engine. When it's working well, you feel it. Steady, responsive, and capable of tackling long climbs and covering serious distance. It doesn't need pushing. It pulls, it powers, it delivers. And when leaders clearly define success and reward people in alignment with that definition, it fuels that engine even more. It builds clarity, momentum, and trust. But when drive is underdeveloped, it's like an engine that never fully engages. You stall, you coast, you wait, you feel stuck, and your efforts mediocre. That's deficiency. When passion fades, effort drops to the minimum, and you go through the motions without actually going anywhere. And when leaders can't clearly define success, or fail to reward it well, it doesn't just stall performance, it erodes trust. Strengthening drive often requires support from other dimensions. Accountability helps you follow through and take initiative. Integrity keeps your energy aligned with your values, elevating passion. Transcendence helps you set goals worth pursuing. Courage raises the bar, driving you toward excellence. And collaboration helps sustain your vigor over the long haul. But push too hard, and the engine overheats. You redline. You become tunnel-visioned, obsessive about goals. That's drive in excess, pushing past limits without pausing to ask if the direction still makes sense. You miss the turns, you burn through people, you sacrifice quality for speed, or chase perfection and stall progress. This kind of overdrive shows up when drive isn't supported by other strengths, like temperance, your braking system, helping you slow down, navigate turns, and notice the moments that matter. Or humility, which lets you reroute without shame when you've missed a better path. Drive, like an engine, needs both power and precision. It must generate forward momentum, but be finely tuned to handle sharp turns, shifting terrain, and long distances. Without that balance, drive either stalls, leaving you stuck and unable to move, or races ahead so fast you miss the crucial turns, the necessary stops, or opportunities to course correct before it's too late. So now, take a moment to turn inward. What does it feel like when you're living the virtues of drive? When you're taking initiative, pursuing results with passion, striving for excellence, and bringing energy to what matters, how do you show up? How do others experience you? And how do you experience yourself? Of course, we all drift at times. When you do, which way do you tend to go? Do you lean toward deficiency, settling, coasting, slipping into mediocrity? Or do you tip into excess, pushing so hard you lose perspective, chasing outcomes with tunnel vision? When that happens, what does it actually look like? What's your behavior? What's the ripple it creates on others and on you? Are there certain roles, situations, or stressors that tend to throw you off balance, nudging you too far in one direction? And if so, can you see the pattern? For me, I almost never miss on the deficiency side. Drive has been woven into me for as long as I can remember. I was raised by parents who helped me set high standards, and early on I had coaches, teachers, and mentors who raised the bar even higher. When I was a young girl, my piano teacher took me on as her first child student, but held me to the standards of her adult students. And for those early influences, I am deeply grateful. But what I didn't recognize for a long time was that my drive, so often a strength, could also act as a vice. That realization hit hardest during my years as an NCAA Division I athlete. My hunger for excellence had slowly tipped into a chase for perfection. And in a sport like golf, where perfection doesn't exist, that mindset became a trap. I started gripping the club tighter, trying to control the uncontrollable. My anxiety spiked, and not just on the course. It started seeping into other areas of my life. And when I didn't perform, I pushed harder. I doubled down on my drive and accountability. So did my coaches. But that wasn't the lever I needed. Looking back, what I really needed was support from other dimensions of character. Most of all, humility. The willingness to make mistakes and trust that I'd grow from them. I needed temperance too, to regulate the disappointment and frustration when things didn't go my way. But like any dimension of character, the development of drive is limitless. What helps me most is returning to what I call the basics: nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Whenever my energy dips, it's almost always tied to one of those three. So before I start searching for deeper answers, I try to rule them out. And that practice isn't just physical. It requires integrity to prioritize my health, even when everything around me feels urgent. It calls on accountability to follow through, and transcendence to stay connected to the future self I want to support. The deeper challenge, though, is continuing to define success on my own terms. Like in the opening story, I've always been a strong hoop jumper, trained to excel at whatever's put in front of me. But over time, I've learned that drive means creating your own hoops, and that's something I still work on every day. One of my coaches gave me a lesson early on that never left me. In golf, a sport where success is narrowly defined by the lowest score, he encouraged me to redefine winning for myself. Instead of using my scorecard to track strokes, I used it to measure my level of commitment to each shot. That shift moved my focus from outcomes to inputs, from what I couldn't fully control to what I could. It was a more sustainable measure of progress, a more personal one, and that redefinition took strength from other dimensions. The creativity of transcendence to imagine a new measure of success, and the self-regulation of temperance to stay focused on process over outcome. That practice is still with me. It's a muscle I continue to train. Because when we take the time to define success more deliberately for ourselves, we start to see how that clarity can ripple outward, challenging the norms of what gets measured and rewarded within our teams, our organizations, and the systems we live within. The key is noticing. Noticing when your energy dips, when you're forcing progress, or when the pace is pulling you off track. The more clearly you can notice where you are on the spectrum, whether you're stalling out or redlining, the more skillfully you can course correct. Sometimes that means refueling, building drive up. Other times it means tapping the brakes, drawing on strengths like humility, collaboration, or temperance to help slow you down, take the right turn, or avoid missing one altogether. Drive isn't built in a single burst of motivation. It's forged over time in the steady, often invisible choices to engage, to push forward, and to aim just a little higher. Every time you take initiative or bring energy when it would be easier to coast, you're strengthening the engine of drive. But like any engine, drive needs maintenance. Neglect it, and it stalls. Redline it, and it overheats. The risk isn't just in not enough, it's in too much. And while noticing those patterns matters, it's not enough on its own. To strengthen drive, we need more than insight. We need structure, we need a system. That's what Virtuosity is built for. It's a training system that turns character into consistent practice. Like a gym, but for who you are. You start small, one drive behavior, one focused intention. Then Virtuosity walks you through bite-sized lessons and daily challenges to help you build sustainable momentum, one rep at a time. Because drive isn't formed at the finish line. It's built in the grind, the slow starts, the stalled moments, the effort no one sees. And those small choices, they're easy to skip, but they're what keep the engine running. That's why we train, because when the road gets steep or the tank runs empty, it won't be your adrenaline that gets you there. It'll be your habits. So get in gear and keep building.